Before we play the next one, I'd just like to flash you back to when Iva Davies popped into the studio last year to chat to Freddie, Lisa and Captain Paul on the bunch. And Iva was telling the guys about a couple of the more interesting shows Icehouse have done since reforming.
I think probably the one that was most interesting was Home Bake. And, you know, that was 20,000, sort of in their 20s type of audience. And the bass player, after the show, sort of, you know, came over to me and he said, "Did you see how many people were singing the songs?" And I said, "Well, I did." And it's quite peculiar because a lot of those songs were older than they were.
That's great.
So how has the band changed since the 80s?
What we're doing at the moment is, of course, we're very long-standing members. You were asking about the guys, and of course, you know, we're very good friends by now. We've been through, you know, births, deaths and marriages and children and more marriages and whatever. So it's quite strange, actually, because we've been through a lot, to be back on the road as if we were all in our 20s again. But very interesting because, you know, when Paul, our lead guitarist, is you know, a bit short of sleep, he gets incredibly grumpy. When just calm down and be quiet.
Now, the classical work you did while on hiatus from Icehouse was amazing. The Ghost of Timepiece for the Millennium Celebrations was stunning. Have a listen to this.
At sea, city on a rainy day, down in the harbour, watching as the grey clouds.
Sounds beautiful. It just sounds great, that version.
It was quite an extraordinary project. For anybody who doesn't know, I was approached in 1999, the beginning of that year, by the people who are organising the big celebration of the Millennium on Sydney Harbour, and it was a massive event. It was huge. Ignatius Jones, who was the creative director, said to me, "Look, I've got the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, I've got Taikos, who are a group of Japanese drummers, I've got this, I've got that, and what I'd like you to do is turn Great Southern Land into a 25-minute orchestral piece, you know, a massive piece." Which took me nearly a year to do, and I did that, and of course they choreographed all the, I don't know whether you remember the images from Sydney, but all the floats that were floating on the harbour and so on, and all of that was kind of choreographed to this piece of music. But it was, we performed it live on the forecourt of the Opera House, and it was an incredibly sort of dangerous situation to be in because you don't get two shots at the Millennium. So we had backups of backups of backups of backups. And anyway, I remember when we got to that point where you just played, which was when we got to right to the end of the piece, is the version of Great Southern Land that I sang, and I stepped off the stage, and Richard Wilkins was counting 10, 9, 8, and Frank Sartor, who was the Lord Mayor of Sydney at that time, came over and put a glass of champagne in my hand, and all the fireworks went off over our heads. And I thought, well, this is just going out on television to 4 billion people. It doesn't get much better than this. So it was an extraordinary time.
Well, what an amazing story. But I think with a song like Great Southern Land, it is such a great song. It's such a legendary Australian song that it's going to be fantastic no matter how it's performed, whether it's an orchestral arrangement like Iva was just talking about, or this fantastic acoustic version that Icehouse have recorded exclusively for us at Mix 94.5.
Standing at the limit of an endless ocean, stranded like a runaway lost at sea. City on a rainy day down in the harbour, watching as the grey clouds shadow the bay. Looking everywhere, had to find you. This is not the way that I remember it here. Anyone will tell you it's a prisoner island, hidden in the summer for a million years. Great Southern Land. They burned you black. So you look into the land, it will tell you a story about a journey ended long ago. Listen to the motion of the wind in the mountains. Maybe you can hear them talking like I do. They're gonna betray you, gonna forget you. Are you gonna let them take you over that way? Great Southern Land. sun. You walk alone with the ghost of time, and they burn you black, black against the ground, and they make it work with rocks and sand. I hear the sound of the strangers' voices. I see their hungry eyes, their hungry eyes. Great southern land, great southern land. You walk alone like a primitive man. You walk alone with the ghost of time, and they burn you black. Yeah, they burn you black. Great southern land. Great southern land. Great southern land. Great southern land.
Yeah, great acoustic version of surely one of the Australian classics of all time. There's Icehouse and Great Southern Land at Perth's Mix 90.